We stream.
Why?
Why not?
Why?
It's free views on my YouTube channel. Views beget
It's not free.
views.
Those views cost someone else precious time and their short, worthless
They don't
life.
cost me any precious time.
It costs you some precious bandwidth
All right, I was gonna start going.
and precious
Watching this.
precious effort.
Precious ambergris.
Ew.
All right. It's Wednesday, October 4th, 2017. I'm Rym.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights, Spooky GeekNights. And
Not
tonight,
really.
we're talking about Scooby-Doo.
Great.
Let's do this. You were the one who wanted to do like a Halloween theme this month.
Yeah, but the theme was a good idea. The thing is, like always, I don't have any actual episode ideas.
Oh, no.
And limiting us to a very specific set of ideas, you sometimes, we say, limitation boosts creativity, but in this case, it just makes it even harder to come up with an episode idea because you might come up with a good one that's not spooky, and then what?
But I can, one, we'll put that in a Google Keep somewhere and then forget about it and never do it.
That's right.
But two, and much more important, I can kind of skirt it by just doing the ephemera of spooky voice in the beginning and make the music a little bit woo.
Put in too much effort. All right.
Yeah, I think you vastly overestimate how much effort that took.
Last weekend, downtown East Village-ish area, there was I guess it was this place called the Spoke Gallery. It's one of those one-room art galleries. You know the kind
Yeah, I've seen those things.
where they have a showing, they put everything up on the wall, and then they everything's for sale, and then they put in another show, and people have parties there and stuff, right? That kind of place.
Yeah.
They had a one weekend. It was Friday night was the gallery opening party, whatever. But then Saturday and Sunday was the come check out the gallery, and then that was it. But it was a Miyazaki art gallery. Obviously, no art by actual Miyazaki, just art by other people, of Miyazaki things. It was mostly Princess Mononoke's, Totoro's, Kiki's, Nausicaä's, the popular ones. I didn't see any of the less popular ones, really, But yeah, there was definitely some cool stuff there. There was a thing where there was a big giant Totoro mural, and there was a red umbrella, and you could take a picture next to it.
Yeah.
And there was like a lamp that was made by like cutting white paper into boxes that were concentric boxes, and then there was a light bulb in the middle. It was way cool.
All right.
There was a lot of good stuff there. If you didn't go, sorry you don't live here and can't do stuff like that.
Well, similarly, because, in New York, there's basically sort of a Ghibli thing where every year you can just see pretty much every Ghibli movie in the theater.
Well, GKids now owns the U.S., I think, I don't know, even broader than that, but they definitely own the U.S. distribution rights to all, like, if not all, almost all Studio Ghibli films. So, and I think they're putting them all back out on Blu-ray, DVD, whatever it is, but they also put them in theaters like constantly. So even if you're not in New York City, if you're somewhere near, I guess, a populated area that's populated enough that GKids will put it in a theater there, you got chances to see these things. So follow GKids on Twitter, Instagram, whatever.
Yep.
And you'll get notified about these things.
So a while ago, I watched Laputa again, and just recently, me and Emily, we didn't go to the exhibit you went to, but we went and saw Nausicaä, which I've seen it before several times, but I'd never seen it in a theater with a really good projection.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I've seen it in the theater, it's usually an original film print, but this was like a nice digital projection, and it was basically perfect. Like, it was as good a quality as you're ever going to see that movie in a theater.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you could get it a better quality.
Mm-hmm.
And something that kind of stood out, I really enjoyed it. I'm actually really glad I went to see it because I noticed a bunch of stuff I never noticed before. But comparing it to Laputa, I think Laputa is, for me at least, a better movie.
Laputa came before Nausicaä.
Yeah, but Laputa. So the differences I really noticed was that Nausicaä despite how long it is, really bit off a lot of story to try to tell.
Well-
and even then, it only covered the first volume of an even longer manga.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was trying to cover this. Lapida was basically, I think it was based on something. I don't know what, but it wasn't like, abridging some, grand story, right?
Yup.
Or whatever. Now, Nausicaä is an abridged version of this gigantic epic manga.
Even what the tiny piece it tried to tell, it still struggled to fit all that into a couple hours because it is a long-ass movie. It's 2 full hours long, which I guess I've always known, and I always forget until I watch it again. But what was interesting is that Nausicaä actually it really doesn't trust the audience to understand what the hell's going on, and the characters repeatedly remind you what the plot is and really, really explain everything multiple times, whereas Lapita, because I saw it again recently,
There's a lot that's going on in Lapita.
it doesn't explain shit. The world is similarly complicated, but rather than explaining it all, there'll just be like a little bit of stuff in the background that implies all of that, and if you don't notice that, well, fuck you. But the other thing I noticed that was kind of interesting was that Nausicaä has really good characters, and really it's the story of those characters having their arcs.
You mean the flying space pirate people?
Meanwhile, Lapita has
Also flying
characters
space pirate people?
who don't really progress or change or have arcs, and Lapita is much more about the world than the characters.
That's true.
And they're both really good for different reasons, but I feel like Lapita actually had a better soundtrack. I feel like the soundtrack was better mastered, and I enjoy the subtlety of the environmental storytelling of Lapita. And while Nausicaä,
I enjoy the robots of Lapita.
yeah, but like the environmental, like the world of Lapita is really interesting and subtly told, and you could miss a lot of what's implied by the background stuff and the world around it. Nausicaä is like, hey, this is what this world is about. Hey, this is what these things are about. But then it sort of skips past all that to focus on these characters and how fucking badass Nausicaä herself is.
Yeah. We rewatched The Castle of Cagliostro.
Oh my god, I should watch that again. It's been too long.
So I got a Blu-ray rip from Yar Pirate because I couldn't find any legal means of watching it other than buying a Blu-ray. And yeah, that looks way better than any version I've seen before.
I think the first time I saw Cagliostro was literally a dubious fan sub at RIT Anime on a VHS.
The one thing that I noticed this time, because I didn't really notice that.
Sub, obviously. Everything we're talking about is subtitles.
Of course. One thing I noticed this time compared to any previous time that I watched it was that, usually in a lot of Lupin movies, right, the good ones is where, it shows you how Zenigata is a badass, but Lupin is just even more badass.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason he can't catch him, but he could catch anyone else, no problem, right?
Yep.
And in some of them, people making those Lupin movies don't understand that, and they make Zenigata to be like a dum-dum,
Yep.
like a derpader, Barney Fife kind of cop, right?
Yep. You can't make him that way.
Yeah, no, in Castle of Cagliostro, I didn't realize, but he is the good way in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
And also, his screen time in that movie is basically like second. It's like Jigen and Goemon have almost... Jigen's in the beginning, then he's basically gone. Once he gets the anti-tank rifle, you don't see him at all, right? Goemon appears out of nowhere, does almost nothing, cuts like 2 things, and that's it, right? And Fujiko is important, but is also barely there in the movie. It's really
well,
like...
also, it's good Fujiko. Like, she just is a good guy in this one.
Oh, yeah. But it's basically, Lupin 1, Zenigata 2 in that movie. And also, the bad guy, he's just like the stupid count guy.
Yep.
But the henchman ninja guy...
Oh, yeah, I forgot about him.
They're way... No, not him. The whole group of them with the pointy claws. They are way creepier and super more dangerous than I remembered.
Well, that place that they're all in is real dangerous. Like Lupin,
Yep.
as badass as he is, and Zenigata as badass as he is.
That's the real number one character in the movie is Cagliostro the place.
Yeah.
That's what it's actually
But
about.
I always appreciated in that movie how Lupin is a badass and this place is dangerous. Like it almost killed him before and it feels like it might kill him this time.
Yep.
And Zenigata is ostensibly a cop and he's safe there, but the reality is that he is in just as much danger as Lupin just by being there.
Yep.
I think my two favorite scenes in that entire movie are the with your sword and my anti-tank rifle.
Yep.
And when Lupin is wearing the scuba stuff and he's in the fountain and Zenigata just leans over and almost sees him. Like that's the moment of, yeah, Lupin, you're clever, but Zenigata is like a second, like 1 degree angle away from catching you. I think we got to watch that movie again.
I already watched it again.
Watching Nausicaä again pumped me up in a big way because that was real good, despite the some of the. I mean, there's issues with the movie, but we've reviewed it before. I think we ever review all the Ghiblis on Geek Nights.
You want to go through all of them one at a time?
We should. I'll
I've
check.
seen
if there's,
almost all of them.
I'll check to see if there's any we haven't given a full.
The only
review
things
to.
I haven't seen are like Ocean Waves and My Neighbor the Yamadas and
You saw. I think we saw up on Poppy Hill together.
I haven't seen Poppy Hill.
Oh, it's so up on Poppy Hill.
Oh, and what's the airplane one that's not Porco Rosso, the newer one?
Oh,
Wind Rises?
That's a real fucking good movie.
I don't think I saw that one either.
It's the hardest one to watch because it is really, really real and brutal, and it's about a really tough situation.
All right, let's continue with our Geek Nights here.
Okay, but I will say, Up on Poppy Hill, really enjoyable when you watch it. But I defy anyone to remember the name of any character.
I can't remember the characters' names in Good Things.
You won't remember anything that happens in Up on Poppy Hill. It's good, and then you'll forget it. It's like eating a really good candy.
Anyway.
So yeah, you got any news?
I do have a news. So, Katie Cook, who we have mentioned on Geek Nights before, but not in a very long time, she is a person who's just like a really amazing artist who...
does stuff?
Yeah.
You should follow her on Twitter.
She's like she goes to like a zillion Comic-Cons every year and hits up the Artist Alley. Other things that she's done, there's a book, ABC 3PO.
Oh yeah.
She does a lot of official Star Wars arts and things for properties. Like if you buy Star Wars trading cards, like there'll be cards in there that are hand drawn by her, like randomly inserted sometimes. And she has a webcomic Gronk, which is about a little green monster or whatever. But anyway, she has a new webcomic. What's it called? What? I forget the name of it.
Nothing special.
Nothing. I guess it's nothing special. But the interesting thing about this is that, obviously you got to read this because Katie Cook webcomic. But the thing that's interesting is that this is up on Line Webtoon, right? So if you don't know what the deal is, right, is in the United States we have Google, right? And Google provides search and services, right? In Korea, South Korea, obviously, there's a company called Naver. And Naver provides search and content. Like, it's really like, from what I can tell, it's like it's the only site you need to go to, really.
Yep. Now, there's obviously like that would be a problem in America for a lot of reasons.
But anyway, one of the things that they provide, Naver, is Line, which is sort of, I guess, the idea, it's like a chat service. In fact, in Times Square, there's like a Line store that sells character goods of the characters that they made that are in the emojis, the stickers in Line. Like if you see these characters, you'll know them. Like the yellow duck with the little tiny beak in the middle. Or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
But I can't tell apart the Cow Talk characters from the Line characters, but whatever. But another thing they do is webcomics, and webcomics are way, way big in South Korea. Like a webcomic artist could be like a famous person who appears on TV. There's actually a webcomic artist I've seen on like cooking shows doing cooking who got famous by doing webcomics. Imagine if you saw Mike and Jerry on like NBC on a cooking show. It's like, what the hell? But no, so this, even though it's not Korean, is that same service, right? But doing webcomics in the U.S., publishing them. And that's really quite fascinating. What's up with that? What are the comics they got on there, right? What's going on with this? We
shall see.
Yeah.
So, you might have seen Toblerones all over Twitter lately in an anime context.
I saw the Toblerones on Twitter first, and then it took like a week to figure out what all the deal was. And then after I figured out what the deal was, on the way home from that Miyazaki exhibit, there was an empty storefront with big glass panes for walls. It's just glass walls basically, and those glass panes were filled 100% with 2 giant advertisements for this show, which is hilarious.
So, yeah, basically, the story is, if you wonder what the hell was up with that, is that there's this anime, and
it's on Netflix only.
But it is an anime produced by Japanese animation studios and such.
For Netflix.
But...
Can you watch it anywhere in the world that has Netflix, or only...
Fuck if I know. I have not watched it.
Neither am I.
It's called Neoyokyo.
Which is a real bad name.
And as far as I can tell... It's a bunch of weeb nonsense amped up to 11.
All right.
And the reason it's interesting is that it's Jaden Smith's anime.
Jaden Smith, if you don't know, is Will Smith's son, and he's a really interesting dude.
Yeah.
Because, like, on the one hand, like, I guess he has some kind of skill. He was in that Karate Kid movie, right? He has some sort of acting... celebrity talent of some kind. He has fans of some kind. You know, he has some popularity. Yeah, as far as I know, hasn't done anything evil. There's no reason to hate him. You might not be a fan of him because, you're not a fan of everyone, but whatever. But he has been known to say some crazy things. Like, he's definitely a nerdy weeb type person. He said some things in the past, like he's going to be a K-pop star.
What did Emily say?
He's
the combination of nerdy weeb, super fashion, and already rich, so living this sort of jet set life, and those 3 combine into this weird amalgam of an internet personality.
I mean, I guess your dad is Will Smith.
Yeah.
It's like, all right. But yeah, I guess Netflix, I don't know if Netflix got him to do this show or if he got Netflix to do the show.
Yeah, I didn't look into the fullness of it.
What's the deal?
But this show...
He's the voice actor for the main character, right?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
As far as I can tell, because most of the memes and internet shit I saw about this show was like so ridiculous nonsense that I assumed it was people making fun of the show, but it appears that the show is literally like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the plot? The plot is ridiculous. Jaden Smith plays Kaz Khan, a so-called magistocrat, who works as a demon exterminator.
Maybe I should watch this.
With his Aunt Agatha, played by Susan fucking Sarandon.
Well, Netflix has money, but yeah, maybe I should watch this.
Which is interesting because you know what Susan Sarandon was also in recently?
What?
Rick and Morty.
Okay.
And
I guess she's doing voice acting work.
And she's really good at it.
It's probably her agent is like, hey, let's get some voice acting work. It's real easy. You get some money. All right.
Hangs out with his friends Lexi, Gottlieb, and his rival Arcangelo Corelli for the title of most eligible bachelor, and it's just fucking crazy as far as I can tell.
Okay.
Some like dinky anime cons are already like denying content about this show, claiming it's not anime. And there's anime Reddits, they're like, it's not anime, it's Jaden Smith. It's anime, whether you like it or not. That is the future.
I do not really care if it's technically anime or not. That is a pedantic argument about
but even
semantics.
To pedants, it is technically anime.
That I have no interest in. What I do have interest in is that it is hilarious that this exists, and it is good to know about, even if you're not going to watch it.
Yep, I feel like we will review it at some point, because you can't avoid that kind of thing.
It's just too hilarious.
Yeah.
Good or bad, it could be the worst thing ever. There's no way.
Came to me
there's
and said,
no way. This cannot be one of those things that's actually bad, boring bad. It's got to either be so bad it's hilarious and wraps around,
or it's good,
or it's wacky. It's Zaizen Jotaro action.
Yep, maybe some Excel Saga.
Who knows?
So, yeah, this exists, and as much as I feel like everyone knows about it, it became readily apparent that a lot of people do not know that this exists. Or don't know why Toblerone. So here you go. This is it.
Yeah, this is why Toblerones are on your Twitter.
So stay tuned.
All right, one last thing. We all know about Crunchyroll.
Yep.
We all know about Funimation. We all know about Netflix and Hulu are the places to legally watch the animes in the U.S. online streaming and such, right? But what some people may not know about is Anime Strike. Anime Strike, we may have talked about it on the show. It's basically Crunchyroll by Amazon. I think you have to pay extra money, even if you have Amazon Prime, to get Anime Strike.
Oh, they got a good show in here.
But we already did, judge anime by its cover for the new season that's starting basically right now and next week. So we sort of know a little tiny bit about each of the shows that are coming. So when I keep seeing newses now that are like, here are the shows that are streaming, I'm like, oh, I actually know what shows they're talking about for once. So I guess it's going to be that way from now on if we keep making the show. But the show that I most want to see, the number
Inuyashiki?
Inuyashiki, which we have done an episode on the manga before on Geek Nights. Go look it up. The anime of that show is going to be on Anime Strike.
Well, I already pay for Crunchyroll and Netflix. I ain't paying for Anime Strike.
I do not know if it will be streaming anywhere else other than Anime Strike. But that is annoying because I don't pay for Anime Strike right now, and that's the show that I want to see above all other shows. Please stream this show on another service that I do pay for.
Yep. Because it's funny, though. I've been watching more anime on Netflix than I have been on Crunchyroll lately.
I currently am paying for Crunchyroll and also Hulu. I'm only paying for Hulu because South Park. As soon as South Park season ends, I'm going to switch to Netflix to catch up on all these. I haven't been on Netflix in years. I'm going to catch up on all the Netflix biz.
Yep. Meanwhile, you're not even caught up on like Adventure Time, which I'm just buying on Amazon at this point.
I'm waiting for Adventure Time to be over. 100% over. No more Adventure Time ever. And then I'm going to either go back to episode 1 or where I left off, which is somewhere around...
Yeah, what was going on when you left off?
Well, there was the series with the vampires and Marceline thing.
You got that far?
And then there was the... there was like a mini-series of vampire
Stakes.
action. Yeah, Stakes 1. And then there was some stuff after that I definitely saw. But I definitely didn't get to the part they talk about with like islands and water and Finn going over the ocean or whatever. I didn't get that far. So it was somewhere between the stakes and the ocean part that I stopped.
There's islands, there's elements, and elements sets the stage for the end of the show, and then there's the season that's on now, which is the end of the show.
Okay, so what you tell me when the final episode is out, and then I'll go figure out where I was or go back to the very beginning.
Yep. So yeah, Anime Strike. Yeah. This is happening.
On the one hand, it would be nice if, as a person who's an Amazon customer, right, who does almost everything Amazon, it'd be nice if, say, Crunchyroll, Netflix, everyone else went away, and Anime Strike was the place to get anime.
But do you want a monopoly?
I mean, no, it's kind of nice there's all this competition, too, but I need to be able to... It's annoying that to see all the anime I want to see, I got to go to multiple sites. I need one site to have all the anime that I want to see.
Here's how I go, because there's some Showtime shows I like to watch. There's HBO. There's all these different services, and they're all competing with each other. The new Star Trek is on its own thing, which means I'm just never going to see it, apparently.
I'm not going to see it either, because I don't give a shit.
So what I do now is pretty much I subscribe to a small number of those services, and if something is important enough to see, and it isn't on one of those, I just pirate it. And I feel like I'm actually pirating more now than I did a few years ago because of the separation of all these streaming services.
Yeah, I mean, this is we talk about how shitty cable TV was, and the shittiness of cable TV
is eking into the internet now.
Right, the shittiness of cable TV was that you paid for this package that got you all the content, literally every channel, but you're like, fuck this, why am I paying for all this shit I'm not watching, right? Why am I paying $40 a month for all this shit I'm not watching?
That's why a lot of shows now I'm just buying on Amazon.
Right, so now they go to streaming, and it's like, all right, well, now you're paying $5 a month to watch just what you want to watch. Oh, but actually, you need to get like 10 different streaming services in order to watch all the things you want to watch.
But here's where they're wrong.
And now you're paying, and now it's cable again. It's like, no, I need the shows I want to watch with nothing else at the appropriate price.
And you know what?
Right.
I'm actually
Otherwise, I'm going to pirate.
A moderate premium. Like I said, Adventure Time, Steven Universe, Over the Garden Wall. I just bought them on Amazon. Not streaming, but you pay money, like $30 or $40 for a season, and you just get the entire thing. You can watch it anytime, forever.
That's too much money. How many seasons of Adventure Time are there?
Fuck if I know. I just buy it. Because if you add up the monthly fees of like a service, I guess there isn't a Cartoon Network service, so there isn't even an equivalent.
No, there's no. As far as I know, no service offers streaming of every Adventure Time episode.
Yep, so I've bought seasons of it, and that's been cheaper than a streaming service.
If I can't get it on, I'll pick the streaming services. I'll keep doing what I'm doing, which is switching between them, canceling one, signing up for another, canceling that one, signing up for another.
Yep.
Right? But if there's something I want to watch and I can't, like, it's not on a convenient service or whatever, I'm just going to fuck buying a thing specifically. That's not worth it. It costs so much fucking money.
Yep. And the last news, I'll just mention it briefly, but if you're not going to PAX Unplugged, you should, and you're an anime fan, especially if you're listening to this night of Geek Nights, you should check out AnimeNYC because it probably is going to be the best
We
run.
would be going to this if PAX Unplugged, it was not coincidentally the same exact weekend.
Yep, because as much as I like anime, there's a reason Geek Nights Tuesday is the easiest show to do. And we've done like almost 50 panels at PAXs. But AnimeNYC, I'm not promising it's going to be good, but it has the best chance of
It's
being.
good enough that I would go to it.
And we stopped
That's
going.
what I'll promise, that it's good enough that I would go to it knowing what I know now.
And we have cut literally every anime con out of our schedule at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And if we re-add one, as long as it doesn't continue to overlap with PAX Unplugged, I'm going to start going to AnimeNYC.
Well, we can find out now how the first one went when we decide about next year.
Yeah.
Some other news is...
Oh, you got more news?
No, this is a news AnimeNYC. I was thinking, because you started talking about a convention, I was starting to think of meta moments.
Yeah, but I think that means it's time for... I should make a spooky thing of the day song instead of the usual one.
Oh, right, the rolling pin
Yep.
throwing.
Yep. But anyway, things of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. I actually... Okay. But anyway, things of the day. What do you got?
So this is a video from before I was born in 1979, and it shows some place in Iowa. This is on the Iowa Public Television YouTube channel, where it is loaded with a wide variety of things, a very wide variety of things. And this is a video of, in Iowa in 1979, in color, a rolling pin throwing competition. That's all you got to know.
But this is pretty amazing already.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, look at all that old camera equipment. Look at that camcorder.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
I mean, look at the quality of video for 1979 at a rolling pin throwing competition. Eh?
Yeah, that is definitely 1979. Look at that shirt. Look at that guy.
Look at them overalls.
Look at the way. Oh my God, look at that microphone.
Mm-hmm.
This is magic.
Yep.
So my thing of the day, a while way back, I had a thing of the day that was basically this guy who takes, like, he's a really good musician, and he takes classical music and mashes it up with other classical music on the piano in a very technically proficient manner. This individual has now done something very nerdy that you all will enjoy. So if you listen to those mashups that I linked to before as Things of the Day a long time ago, and didn't enjoy them because you're a Philistine who doesn't understand classical music and didn't recognize the cleverness of what was going on, here's that exact same thing with Nintendo music.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon, Mega Man 2, a bunch of different
I
Legends
see
of
some
Zeldas.
Marios and Zeldas in there.
Yep. And it starts out good, but watch and listen to this all the way to the end because it charges its laser and it definitely saves the best for last, and it kicks it into high gear right around when Mega Man 2 comes in.
Oh, yeah.
Mega Man 2 and Star Fox combined,
Mm-hmm.
and it only goes up from there.
All right, so some meta things that are going on. So this weekend is, I guess, evil Columbus Day weekend. Fuck Columbus. Fuck him in the ass.
Yep, I don't celebrate that shit.
But we don't have to go to work, so we're all doing stuff. Anyway.
There's going to be no Tuesday show because I realized that's when the hockey game is.
Yes, I was about to say the next thing. Tonight is Puck Night. That is October 4th. NHL regular season begins. And for the Rangers, it begins tomorrow. But we're going to a hockey game next Tuesday, so there won't be a show.
Yep.
Next weekend after that, we are doing a thing at our friend Matt's house. We're temporarily calling ReviewCon or whatever.
Yep, this is not... So, before any of you jump
It's not
in...
Geek Nights.
You know how we talk about how we're starting a convention? This is not that. This is a separate event that...
Yeah, it's not a convention.
It may turn into one someday, years and years
Basically,
from now.
what we're going to do is just going to go to his house and play board games all fucking day.
Pros only, serious business.
Right, and play a ton of games that will have a huge stock of tabletop games to review. And we're going to stream, so you could tune into that on maybe the night of Friday the 13th. Ooh, in October. Ooh. But also Saturday, the 14th, is when most of the action's going to be.
But if you missed that, don't worry, because the output of that convention, that event, will be a shit ton of game reviews. Like really high quality ones.
Also, right, November 4th and 5th in New York is GaymerX East 2.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We went to GaymerX East 1. This is GaymerX East 2. It's coming. That same weekend is also the Netrunner World Championships.
Oh.
And also the New York City Marathon, if you care. Okay. And then, of course, 2 weeks after that, right? November 16, 17, 18, 19, well, you know, that weekend, whatever dates are in there.
Yep.
The week before Thanksgiving is PAX Unplugged.
The inaugural PAX Unplugged. And
in
remember,
Pennsylvania, piece of shitdelphia.
this is a tabletop convention, but it has all the accoutrements of a full PAX, just all focused exclusively on tabletop.
That's right. There won't be no Nintendo booth there unless they're bringing some Mario Party. And even then, it had to be Mario Party the card game or something.
And it's not sold out yet. You can get badges. And I'm telling you right now, PAX Unplugged is going to fucking explode.
It will sell out.
It is going to. This one's going to be a little smaller, partly because it's the first one. But remember the first PAX East and what PAX East turned into?
Even the first PAX was hella small. The Necrolomicon was even smaller.
But PAX East, the first one, was already exploding, and then it double exploded. So Unplugged is going to be way big, and this is the first one.
Especially since there's no other major competition for tabletop cons in the Northeast, right? You know, the Gen Cons and the Origins, those places are like the Midwest.
And they're a different kind of tabletop con. They're not the PAX style.
There is no tabletop con like this. It's the only one in the Northeast in this major population center. It's going to be big. And they should have an Unplugged West because they don't have anything like this either, as far as I know. The
I'm already
Midwest
pushing
sort of
hard.
owns
I'm already pushing hard
tabletop
because, you know, there's
cons.
PAX Dev, which is before PAX West in Seattle, which is the 2-day game industry only, black box, no, everyone signs NDAs, you know, talk about stuff openly because no one's going to spill the beans. I feel like we need a tabletop, like, Dev Unplugged before this one down the road. I'm going to push hard for that because I feel like the tabletop industry is kind of like how, you get like high fashion that turns into regular Walmart fashion. I feel like or comics and cartoons drive live action remakes and stuff. I feel like tabletop is where a lot of the real core cutting edge game design and development happens, and then that spills into video games.
So that's the Geek Nights calendar. Remember to go to all the places on the... If you really care about Geek Nights so much that you're either watching the stupid stream on YouTube right now...
We're going to be at GaymerX even if they don't accept our panels.
Sure, right.
We're gonna
it's right there.
We're going to be at PAX Unplugged.
At least one day we'll go to it.
We're going to be at PAX Unplugged because this is like... this is the convention that was made for us.
But anyway, but yeah, like I was saying, if you're sad enough that you're watching Geek Nights live on YouTube, which you can do, or listening to it as a podcast, you should go to all the places on the internet that Geek Nights is, like our forum at community.frontrowcrew.com, our website at frontrowcrew.com, both of our YouTube channels, Twitters, Facebooks, Instagrams, every kind of social place that there is. We have things, and those are all better than the actual product of Geek Night.
There is a lot of biz on our YouTube channels.
And we're going to be posting, you know, I'm putting in a lot of effort to post to all the things more frequently.
Oh, look, Geek Nights is live right now on YouTube.
Yeah, don't watch that.
You can totally watch it.
You definitely have something better to do, but if you're really so sad that you don't, there it is.
There are 10 people watching right now, and there's a lit chat where they're talking. They're hanging out. There's stuff
Surely
going on.
they must have something better to do.
So yeah, in keeping with our spooky theme, we're going to review Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo.
So I already learned some things because I'm not an expert on Scooby-Doo by any means. Do not... if I sound like I know a lot about Scooby-Doo...
It's because you read it on Wikipedia today.
It's not only that, it's because I'm looking at the Wikipedia article while I talk to you. So when I say something in the next 20 minutes or 30 minutes like, so when ABC took over from CBS...
You learned that today.
Yeah. However...
I knew... the only thing I know about Scooby-Doo is what I've seen, which is A, really old Scooby-Doo that looks like old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and a pup named Scooby-Doo that I saw on Saturday mornings as a kid, and That's it.
So what?
I know that there are like more recent Scooby movies that are live action or
And
CG.
supposedly a very recent cartoon.
And
like
there's
a
also
series
some
that's good.
comic books that I've heard that are good and stuff, but I haven't seen any of that stuff. I've only seen
supposedly Be Cool
old stuff.
Scooby-Doo is good, but we'll see.
I don't know, and I don't plan to watch it because even if it's good, I got better things to be doing.
Also, I'm going to admit something very openly. I never liked Scooby-Doo, even as a kid.
Scooby-Doo is one of those
I
things.
watched it. I watched a shit ton of it, but I didn't particularly like it.
Scooby-Doo is one of those things, right? It's even weird, right? Because, you think about something like BTAS, right? Like Batman the Animated Series. If that was on, I fucking watched it.
Even if I'd seen the episode, I would just sit down.
Even if I seen it, I fucking watched that shit, right? But if you had come to me and been like, yo, like what's like, I had never considered myself like a fan of it or a Batman fan or whatever. But if it was on, I watched it like, oh my God. And Scooby-Doo, while clearly nowhere near as good as BTAS, was much the same way. Like I never would have considered myself a fan of Scooby-Doo. I never would have listed it as something I liked or anywhere. Like that wouldn't even come to mind. But if it was on and nothing else was on, I watched it. And this is part of why I don't watch TV anymore.
So I think part of what's interesting to me about Scooby-Doo is that when we were kids, we sort of grew up as the last TV generation because the internet came just as we were moving into high school and college.
Well, YouTube came after college.
Oh, yeah, but we stopped watching TV
there might have been two
before YouTube
There
existed.
were definitely 2 or 3 generations after us that watched TV because, like, my younger brother.
I was going to get
is
something
4
further,
years
though.
younger, and sister is 8 years younger. They watch TV.
We grew up during
Maybe the
era
generation after that doesn't watch
where
TV.
Saturday morning cartoons were still a thing.
Mostly true.
They were a big thing during when we, like, specifically when we were
Yes,
childhood.
they definitely decreased in bigness as my life went on.
And as a result, I would just turn on the TV and watch whatever was on. Like, whatever the best thing was on at that time, I would watch it. Meaning I would often end up on the channel that had cartoons, and Scooby-Doo would be on. And I would just watch it.
Yep.
And as a result, I've seen a lot of Scooby-Doo, and I had this vague idea that Scooby-Doo had gone on forever. And because I only ever saw
Well, because at the time that I was watching TV, there
it was
no,
already in crazy reruns.
Well, right. There was no internet or anything. I couldn't get information easily about like the history of Scooby-Doo and what channels it had been on or anything that's now just all listed right there in Wikipedia for you to figure out in 2 seconds.
Yep.
So all I knew was like, there seems to be this one Scooby series that's just Scooby-Doo. That seems like it's the original one, right? That makes sense.
Yep.
And there's this other one called Scooby Movies that has celebrity guests. I guess
Like Don Knotts.
I guess that one came later.
That one was only dated for me because I knew who the celebrities were.
But I
even
can
as a
tell
kid.
by looking at it, this still looks old, so it must be old.
Yep.
And then this pup named Scooby-Doo, which is on Saturday morning, and that one looks way newer and is clearly brand new.
And is clearly garbage.
Well,
We'll get to that.
Anyway, but, it's like I could just sort of tell, but I didn't know anything. And there might have been other ones that, like, if they weren't being broadcast on TV, I didn't know about them.
So this is what's crazy. As a kid, I was kind of obsessed with, I'd see these shows like He-Man and Scooby-Doo, and because I sort of started them in media res, because I didn't know there was never like an origin story or like a continuous plot, I'd see an episode, I'd see another episode, I'd see another episode, and I'd wonder like, what's their deal? Where
I
did they
also
come from?
wondered that.
And every now and then, you'd see an episode that was older than anything you'd seen before, and you'd be like, whoa, now I'm going to learn some stuff, and you never did.
No, the only show as a kid that I met, there were only 2 shows in my youth, like mega youth, right? Like elementary and middle school youth, that I managed to watch every episode in order. And those shows, well, to a certain point at least, I stopped watching it after eventually. But for years, I watched every episode of Fox X-Men in order.
Yeah, I did that from when it aired,
Which actually pissed me off because they fuck up the continuity. Like, it doesn't really make sense after a certain point.
And then Dark Phoenix, and well.
Yeah, and I don't know if anyone remembers this. There was a live-action Superman show called Lewis and Clark.
Oh, yeah.
Lois and Clark.
I didn't like that show.
That was on ABC, and I watched every single episode of that in order as they were aired, every single new one, until I guess like there was some really. It basically jumped a shark at some point and I stopped watching.
Mask, which was my favorite media on earth when I was a child. I didn't actually see it all in order.
Thundercats, I couldn't. It wasn't broadcast properly. Voltron,
But Thundercats did have an origin episode.
Oh yeah, it did.
Which I never saw until adulthood.
I saw it as a child, but
I did not.
But there were many things I missed. Like for Thundercats, it was like suddenly they were on another planet, and I didn't see the episodes of how they got there.
Yep.
Because they weren't aired or whatever.
But Scooby-Doo was like that. Like it felt like something from
Transformers. Ha.
Like it felt like something from an ancient time, and I really wondered, like, what's the deal? And da da da. But I learned something terrifying about Scott right before we aired the show. He did not really understand the true terror of Scrappy Doo.
No, see, I'd only ever my memory, which is admittedly not the greatest, at least not at remembering this sort of thing, only remembered Scrappy Doo as a character in Pup Named Scooby-Doo.
Which is ridiculous. There's more Scooby-Doo, like regular Scooby-Doo with Scrappy in it, than without Scrappy
but
in
there
it.
was definitely sort of this thing where the redone versions of shows, with different animation that happened in the 90s had additional characters that were not in the original versions, right? So it sort of made sense in my brain that Scrappy-Doo is one of those, like, oh, they concocted this extra character for the remake.
That is literally what Poochie was making fun of in The Simpsons.
Exactly.
They added Scrappy-Doo, and this is even on the Wikipedia, but I knew this already. They added Scrappy because Scooby-Doo was dropping in popularity, and Scrappy was like this character designed to get kids interested again.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah, I had not recalled seeing Scrappy-Doo in old Scooby-Doo cartoons. But I guess apparently I'm wrong because there it is.
Yeah, Scrappy-Doo was added in the 70s.
Before Scrappy-Doo's older than me.
Yep.
All right.
Scott didn't believe me until I showed him a screenshot of Scrappy-Doo.
Well, it's not that I didn't believe you. It's that I was just like shocked that it was that, my memory was so,
So the way it actually broke down, now I'm looking at Wikipedia because I didn't know this. The classic Scooby-Doo, meaning the actual original one, is Scooby-Doo, Where Are You, with that theme, Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Yes, that one. I have seen that one. How many episodes are there?
41.
I definitely haven't seen all of them.
And then I think I've seen them all. And then there's there's not that many. And then there's the Scooby-Doo movies, which
I have seen many of them.
So you know what's crazy? They're called the new Scooby-Doo movies, and they're from the early 70s.
Those all have guests on them.
Like Don Knotts.
The ones I remember the most.
I only remember the one with Don Knotts.
I do remember the Don Knotts one. I also remember the Batman and Robin one, which was Adam West and Burt Ward doing the voice acting, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, John Astin was in one. I
don't know who that is.
Gomez from the Addams Family.
Oh, there was an Addams Family one. I did see that.
I don't think I've seen that one.
But I remember at least.
Oh, I remember the Dick Van Dyke one.
I do.
And the Casey Kasem. He played Robin. Yeah. Oh, shit. It's all coming back.
I do remember clearly there were at least two of these with the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yep. The Three Stooges one, I remember hating.
There was a Three Stooges, but I don't think it was the actual Three Stooges voice acting, was it?
Which Three Stooges?
The original ones?
Which ones?
Larry, Moe, and Curly.
Curly? What about Shemp?
That's the fourth Stooge.
Is it?
Yes.
Who's the fifth Stooge?
There wasn't a fifth Stooge.
What about the ones where they had all these other people play a third Stooge?
I don't know that much about Three Stooges.
Scott, we used to listen to Penn Radio. He fucking never shut up about that shit. In like every episode, he'd be like, there's 19 Stooges, however many there were. And he would go into like crazy detail.
I'm not someone who knows a lot about Three Stooges.
You used to be. We used to talk about this.
No.
Well, how do you not?
In my life, I've probably ever seen like the most basic of Three Stooges content.
Do you remember the Three Stooges cartoons?
No.
Okay, yes. So Scooby-Doo meets the Harlem Globetrotters is 2 episodes: The Mystery of the Haunted Island and the Loch Ness Mess.
See, how come I can remember that shit, but I can't remember?
Phyllis Diller played herself. Dick Van Dyke, Casey Elliott. Okay, I don't remember some of these, and some of these I really remember. But anyway, back to Scooby-Doo. So the other thing that I remember that really bothered me as a kid is that there was a line between, there was like the original episodes all had literally the exact same plot.
Yes.
Like, to the point.
That is the main thing I wanted to discuss today, is that there are many works of art in the history of the world that are episodic and formulaic, right? There are many such things.
Yep. Matlock.
Exactly. Of all of them that have ever existed, I believe personally that Scooby-Doo is the most rigidly formulaic
All right, so what's the formula?
and the formula is this, right? The Scooby-Doo gang rolls into a new town.
In the Mystery Mobile.
In the Mystery Mobile. Stranger comes to town. Of course, they're not strangers, even though it's a Mystery Mobile, right? And they encounter some sort of local troubles. They notice it, right? And somehow get involved in it somehow, right?
Yep.
It turns out...
Well, then they try to catch... It's a monster or a ghost or something. They try to catch it once.
Somebody involved in the local troubles decides to dress up as a monster as a way to win out in their local feud.
I was going to way more specific
Thus
than that.
creating some sort of legend in the town of the creepy whatever it is. The mystery gang attempts to chase this monster all about and find clues or whatever, but not really.
They'll split up to chase the thing.
Yes.
So Scooby and Shaggy will get scared by it while Fred is actually doing an investigation.
Then they
half the time.
Then they do the joke with all the doors.
Yep.
The same joke every time. Then they're all together again. And then somehow they find the person, catch them by accident, and remove their mask. And it's the person you obviously thought it was if you're intelligent and not a small child. But since this is a show for small children, hopefully they would be amazed at the mystery.
I feel like it was always the second person they introduced.
There's like a person who's like the obviously bad person, and then there's the second person who's sort of less noticed, but it's always them.
Yep. Every time.
Every time.
I would have gotten away with it if it were for you fucking kids. I don't think they said fucking, but. So there was a point in the show where it shifted from it is a person in a costume or with a projector, which as a kid, I never figured out how that worked. Projectors don't work that way.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of explanations of technology in the show that make no sense.
But it was always just a projector.
It
or
also
a mask.
makes no sense how these costumes that people were wearing were believable enough that they got scared by them.
Well, because when they animated it, they'd animate the monster as a real fucking monster glowing and flying, and then when they take the costume off, they animate it looking really shitty and poorly made.
Yeah, most of the time when I bring up Scooby-Doo, it's to talk about the Scooby-Doo effect. See, it was so poorly and cheaply animated that they would put almost everything in the background, because you draw a background once and it's cheap. If you got to draw on the cell, that means you got to draw it again when it moves.
Yep.
So you can see something they would do a lot is if there was an object that they were going to interact with in the scene that was going to become animated.
It would look really shitty and just be there, like one door is different.
All right, only that object would be animated, drawn on the cell, and the rest of everything would be on the background. So you could look at a scene in Scooby-Doo, and you see the characters would clearly be animated on a cell with cell paint. And then the door that someone was going to open would be animated with cell paint, and everything else was clearly background. And so you, at the start of a scene, things that could be interacted with.
Oh, there's a trap door they're about to step on.
Right, there's a trap door they're about to step on. There's the well someone's going to fall down. There's a thing that's going to move, right? You could tell at the beginning of the scene that that object was going to become animated very soon, and that's like, it was, Scooby-Dooified. And I see this often and refer to it often in video games when you're going around a video game area, particularly in a 3D game, and it's like, oh, there's an object I can interact with. It's Scooby-Dooed. It has the Scooby-Doo effect. It stands out in some way from all the useless background items.
The chase sequences we were talking about, they didn't start doing that till the second season.
Really? It feels like there was one in every single episode.
7 of the second season episodes. That's it.
Wow, really? Okay.
They got some famous bubblegum pop people, I guess, I don't know who these people are, but there's all this stuff about the music I'm just going to ignore.
The music, the original song, Scooby-Doo-Doo.
Where are you?
That's a memorable, kind of okay, good song. I don't remember any other songs.
I remember a bunch of them because I was looking through the names of the different series, and I specifically remembered a bunch of these, but not all of them. So, those are video games. Let me get up to the actual television shows. Here we go. So the original show was titled Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
We talked about this already.
Exclamation point, no question mark, which bothers me now.
Okay.
So then it was just the Scooby-Doo show for
Edit Wikipedia, put the question mark in.
that'd be a lie.
Is it?
And then right after that, Scott, the show is officially called Scooby-Doo and Scrappy Doo. And then there was another 99 shorts that were further Scooby-Doo and Scrappy Doo. And then in the 80s, the next season was called The New Scooby-Doo, and Scrappy Doo show.
Mm-hmm.
A pup named Scooby-Doo didn't come until the late 80s.
Yeah, no, that's Scooby-Doo. Pup named Scooby-Doo, late 80s, is the only one that was new in my childhood.
In fact, it looks like Scooby-Doo
when I was conscious.
was continuous.
That's why I remember it.
Between 1969
69
and 1984.
Really?
Yeah, Scott, the original show was 69 to 78.
Whoa. All right.
So, in 84, the new Scooby-Doo show ended.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was this 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. And then there's a gap, and then sort of like there's this separate next era with a pup named Scooby-Doo.
Right, so Pup Named Scooby-Doo was a show that was in my youth.
I
right,
hated
on
it.
TV.
I literally hated it.
When I was
the
like
show.
7 or 8 years old.
When it was on, I'd bitch about it. I'd usually still watch it because I was watching TV.
It was a show that I only watched. It wasn't like, we're talking about like X-Men, which came a few years later.
Oh, wow, yeah, it was Casey Kasem.
But like if X-Men was on, I was watching it. Pup Named Scooby-Doo was a show that like you'd watch if you didn't even have a video game to play because it was so blah. But that show also had some other shows that tied in with it. The same way when you watch Rocky and Bullwinkle, you also get a Fractured Fairy Tale and a Dudley Do Right. When you watch,
one of the Scooby-Doos was always paired with Captain Caveman.
Right. I don't know. There was a Flintstones remake and a Scooby-Doo remake, but Captain Caveman was in there somewhere, right? And Captain Caveman, at least I liked it. I don't know if anyone else did, but
I didn't like it at all, but I watched it.
I like Captain Caveman. But I don't know if I'd like it now.
Captain Caveman
And Son.
and the Teen Angels.
I don't remember them.
That's the name of the show, Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels.
What? I don't remember that Teen Angels part at all. Anyway,
Really?
no.
It was literally always those two things.
Are you sure that's not that particular episode? And the Teen Angels?
Then no, that is the show is
What?
called Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels.
I don't remember this at all. Anyway, I remember Captain Caveman and Son. Maybe that was it was also a remake of an older Captain Caveman I'd never seen.
I don't think so. Well, we should do a separate episode on Captain Caveman.
Who knows? The point is, Pup Named Scooby-Doo had only basically one redeeming factor, right? Besides being paired in the same slot with other shorts that were better. And that is, they had this character, Red Herring, who was not in any other Scooby-Doo that I know of. And basically, Red Herring was the typical bully character, right? He had red curly hair, ginger kid, sort of buff and whatever, right?
And Fred would always blame him.
Right, he would bully all the Scooby-Doo kids who were nerds, right? Even Fred is basically a nerd, even though he doesn't look like one visually, right? He's a lot like that kid on Salute Your Shorts with the red hair, or the kid on Doug with the green face and the red hair, right? He was
Roger Klotz?
Yes, basically, Red Herring is Roger Klotz, or actually vice versa, because Roger Klotz came later, right? And Red Herring would in the early part of the episode when they were in school and still the mystery hadn't been revealed yet, Red Herring would bully them, right? And then later on in the episode, like clockwork, because even Pup Named Scooby-Doo is formulaic, right? They would blame Red Herring, saying it was him. He's the one who did and it was never him, obviously.
It was him one time.
It was him one time.
So that episode, which I do remember, Fred was like, nah, it's not him.
They would blame it on him every time, and then he would be like, "It's not me, you numbnuts," or whatever, and like punch them or something, right?
So
and
Scott,
that character of Red Herring and that joke of Red Herring, I still think it's funny.
the Captain Caveman,
even though nothing else about the show is good.
The Captain Caveman intro is literally an origin story where the Teen Angels find
I've
Captain
never seen this Captain Caveman. This must be the original one.
This is the original Captain Caveman.
I didn't know. I thought the Captain Caveman that I saw, which is apparently a remake, was actually the original, but it's not. It was a remake. So the Captain Caveman I saw was much like Pup Named Scooby-Doo, a remake, and was Captain Caveman and Son. I've never seen Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels ever, not even once.
So, to get back to what I was getting at,
Mm-hmm.
the line was, suddenly the show stopped being people faking monsters for commercial gain and started being actual fucking monsters.
I've never seen that.
That's most of Scooby-Doo.
I've never seen that.
I've
I've never seen even one Scooby-Doo with an actual literal monster. It was always someone in a mask every time.
Let's see. When is
I'm
it?
not saying they don't exist. I'm saying I personally haven't seen one.
Let's see, 1987 to 1988, blah, 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 blah. Yep, the Jetsons, Flintstones and the Jetsons. I'm reading
Yeah,
through this.
Flintstones and Jetsons.
We can do shows on those. Yep, they met actual monsters.
I've never seen one with an actual monster.
In several. Along the way, they run into monsters. Man, monsters, yep. It even says actual monsters in this Wikipedia at one point.
All right.
But, yeah, it's weird to me that I've seen so much Scooby-Doo, and until I looked at this Wikipedia article, I couldn't place where they existed in this continuum. I probably have seen none of the newer Scooby-Doo, and as a kid, a big part of why I didn't like Scooby-Doo is that once I hit middle school, actually late elementary school, I started watching anime. And because I was watching anime in elementary school, Scooby-Doo just looked like shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't, like, I was one of those kids who saw one anime when I was in, like, 4th grade, and suddenly all American cartoons are shit, because the only American cartoons I knew about were things like Scooby-Doo.
Mm-hmm.
So I was comparing 80s anime to 70s American low-budget cartoons.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing is, Scooby-Doo, I only watched, like the older Scooby-Doos, I actually watched later on when we had cable and when we got Cartoon Network, which was rerunning them, right? I wasn't able to see those when I was younger. And even then, they looked like crap because that was like, the mid to late 90s-ish area, right? And I was now compared, not forget anime, even compared to other crap shows, or not crap shows, but just shows like Ninja Turtles or Real Ghostbusters or
Real Ghostbusters
Dexter's Lab
was relatively good.
Right, or Dexter's Lab or stuff like that. Like, it looked like crap compared to that.
Yep.
So, and even compared to other Hanna-Barbera shows like Thunder the Barbarian or Space Ghost or, any of that. Well, I guess Thunder the Barbarian wasn't actually Hanna-Barbera, but it was, what's it called? Forget. The other company, right? But the point is that even compared to the other old shows, it was bad, right? Visually speaking.
Yep. So anime really ruined my continued fandom from elementary school onward of any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I still watched it all, and that was like the TV generation. TV would be on and I'd watch it.
Yep.
And
it's weird how much, it's not weird. It's just there's a lot of culture.
Is that the kids our kids today? Is that going to be what Minecraft live streamers are to them? Like, wasn't good, but I just watched it because that's what you did. You sat down and you watched whatever was on YouTube.
Well, no, but I think is that there were because of TV, right? There were these single identical things that we all consumed just because they were on, regardless of what we were actually a fan of, right?
Like when The Simpsons aired, literally everyone in school the next day, except the kids in religious households, saw it.
Right, but it's like, because whether you're a fan of Batman or not, everyone of our generation knows Batman because you watched a B-test if it was on.
And you can assume literally anyone you interacted with who was in your peer group also watched it.
Yeah, people just know it, right? But there's things like that. There's nothing that all the people of go enough generations under us, younger, there's nothing that everyone knows. You can't, kids can go to each other and be like, oh, one kid has seen My Little Pony, and the other one doesn't even fucking know there's a My Little Pony show, and the other one saw some Minecraft guy. The other person doesn't even know that Minecraft guy exists because there's no single identical monoculture like absorbing them all.
Now that's part of what drove me so hard into anime fandom so early was that I saw the anime and it was great, and no one I talked to had any idea at all, and they were dubious and they wouldn't watch it, and it was weird to them.
And this is why you see Hollywood is banking hard on remaking the things that are part of that sort of our era, which was the end of TV monoculture era, because after that, there's no other monocultures to remake once you get past the 90s. So they're not when the cycle goes around a decade and Hollywood wants to make remakes for the generations after us, what are they going to remake?
I mean, what would be... So there was that 70s show, right? And then they made that 80s show. What the fuck would be the difference between that 2000s show and that 2010s show?
Right. It's like, what are they going to even fucking do?
So, if you really like Scooby-Doo...
that's okay.
I mean, I guess...
Sure. It's not like it's a bad thing.
Even to my kid brain, it was so formulaic that it bothered me.
Yes, even to a kid brain, you can tell, but it's a thing.
Like, I would watch it,
the thing
and
is,
I'd be mad at the characters. Like, it's obviously that guy. Why do I have to sit here for an entire episode just for you to figure out it's that guy, the second guy?
You know what, though? For as bad as the plots and the animation and all the problems with Scooby-Doo, right? The characters are actually kind of okay.
Yeah,
As
Shaggy,
as people.
Shaggy sucked. Fred was competent. Daphne,
And they were at least somewhat unique compared to other characters in other shows.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit.
I give it that. Like, they all had their deal.
They were all white.
Yeah, because that's style of the times.
2 of them were ladies, and one of them was a dog.
Yeah.
One of them
and
was a
they
stoner.
recognized, because in the earliest
And
episodes...
the guy who looks like he's supposed to be like Mr. America really isn't. He's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
This has been
Right.
GeekNights with Rym and Scott.
Scooby
DJ Pretzel for the
was
Cat Lead
less
and
dumb than
Logo
Shaggy.
for the logos.
But more cowardly.
I think
They were
Shaggy was
both-
actually more cowardly.
They were both really, really cowardly.
Scooby would occasionally step up. I don't think Shaggy ever stepped up.
Well, you know what it was, I think, is that perhaps they were both super cowardly, but I think perhaps Shaggy was less alert. So usually you'd have Scooby in Shaggy's arms,
Yep.
and then Shaggy realizes and then also runs.
Yep. But Scooby would occasionally do something that advanced the plot. As far as I know, Shaggy would just fuck up and run away.
Scooby would do things accidentally to advance the plot by stumbling upon something.
Although as a kid, I never understood that Scooby and Shaggy were definitely getting high all the time.
Oh,
and
yes.
That's
I
why.
didn't understand that until I understood what weed was.
Yep.
But I think the reason you remember Scooby doing stuff is because they would bribe him with Scooby snacks to
yeah.
do something.
But they could. I feel like you could bribe Shaggy with
With
Scooby
weed,
snacks
but you
too.
can't have that on TV.
Yeah, I feel like Scooby snacks were just weed.
Yes. Yes, they were. They
Yep.
were weed biscuits.
Oh, we cracked the
Don't
code.
give your dog weed biscuits. It's not a crack code. Everyone knows this. We just didn't talk about it until now in this episode.
All right, I think we're done here.